NBC News continues its coverage of the 1972 Republican National Convention, brought to you by the Gulf Oil Corporation.
We're about to see something never seen before in any political convention. I've never seen the head of John. While we were away for a minute down in front of the Russian, take a look at it again. They have...
Cassie Mackin with NBC News.
You're a floor correspondent here?
Right.
How have things been going?
It's been very dull.
Why is that?
Well, you've been here. I guess it looks to me like it's a very packaged, plastic kind of thing with very little spontaneity. Right. I don't see why we have to stay with so much of what's going on the platform. There's a feeling of some responsibility to the public to stay with a lot of this. I'm not sure that we would have to do that. I mean, that's something, just offhand in answer to your question, I'm sort of put off by the way we're staying with the platform a lot tonight. Oh, it's all busy work that we have to keep up with. Like last week, I was exhausted from last week. Covered the platform. We did 4 specials, 6 nightly news, but 300 people testifying. It's all busy work,
Yeah, well, there are always stories. There are lots of stories. There's a story of, well, for example, a very good story at this convention is the fight between state chairman and the committee to re-elect the president, how to spend the money. Yeah. But it's not the story for right now. The story for right now is the story of the large state Republicans and the liberal Republicans trying to get a foothold in this party. Yeah. And that's what I've been going on all night long. I interviewed Percy to that respect, and I did a little stand-up piece. I've only been on twice tonight, but nobody else has been on more than twice either.
Yeah. If you can loosen up the format a little bit, what would you do if it wasn't such a tight format?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. They've got a right, I guess, to put on the convention anyway they were. It's their convention, obviously. And I think we have a responsibility to carry just about everything that's been on tonight. Loosen it up, I don't know. I would like to have more time on the floor, obviously, because as Brinkley is fond of pointing out, the delegates are the convention.
What's happening here? Mainly entertainment, kind of a scene-setting show put on by the Republicans.
Is this like a regular news show? Would you consider this a news show?
No, it's the ultimate collision. It's their television program and our television program.
It's a moderately interesting story. What's going on right now, though, it seems to me, is the first genuinely heartfelt, spontaneous thing that's happened on this first night of the convention. Don't you agree? It's quite obvious, particularly that those young people over there feel very genuinely the way they feel very genuinely of an affection for Pat Nixon.
What do you think about the Republican youth? Do you think, how would you
I don't know enough about them. It's such a general question, isn't it?
Yeah. What kind of stories do you cover here on the floor?
Well, tonight I have covered none.
So it's been kind of dull?
A little bit.
Why
yes.
haven't you been able to cover any stories tonight?
Well, because so much of the action, CBS quadrants the floor. And the states that I have about 16 or 17 states, really there's not been a good deal of action in. Most of the action has come over on that side of the floor or over in the VIP area, and Dan Rather has that section.
So you covered delegates, mainly?
Oh, yes.
Do you ever get a chance to get to know the delegates and sort of hang out with them a bit?
You do a little bit by the end of the time, by the end of the convention. At the Democratic convention, I felt that I made some friends by the time the convention was over. Here, of course, they're a little bit more buttoned up here, I think that you'll agree, so that perhaps they're a little harder to know. Some of them, of course, there are many more public officials on the delegations here, and so I've known them from covering previous conventions.
The structure's been pretty tight at the convention because the party has scheduled things. Do you think that the networks have an obligation to cover that kind of tight scheduling that the Republicans have done?
Well, we're here to cover an event. The event is the Republican National Convention.
I see. If you could loosen up the format a bit and sort of maybe get more kind of advocacy reporting, would you do anything different?
No. I don't. I am not a big fan of advocacy reporting. It seems to me that My chore is to tell what happens, analyze a little bit what happens, if I can, try to go into the background, try to reveal what happens underneath the surface. But as for advocacy, that's not mine.
If you had an open rein on what you wanted to cover tonight, how would you go about it?
Here, I think I might rather watch it at home. Honest.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Herb Capel.
And what do you do?
Who are you? TVTV?
You work for
You better
ABC?
talk into my good ear.
Okay.
ABC.
What do you think of the convention so far?
Well, it's all pretty orderly. Of course, there isn't much mystery about it. What's news? Well, Richard Nixon, I think, is going to be nominated. And Spiro Agnew is going to be nominated. They're going to adopt a platform. And they have some matters to solve with respect to rules. The Republicans are trying, in a sense, to show that the Democrats aren't the only ones who reform.
What would you generally define as something that's news?
Things that happen.
Just don't have time? You didn't have time for me the last convention either, but Maureen interviewed, didn't she? You don't speak at all? How come you're so much trouble tonight? I think we got a good interview going so far. He won't say anything, Nancy. I think he's serious about it. Speak to me, and he won't even tell me no. Right? He won't tell me why. No, I'm serious. Can you just give me a reason why he won't speak to me? Just tired? Okay, that's real good. That's fine. I can understand that. See you later. Do you believe him? Do you think he's really tired? I don't know. This is the Republican Convention drag.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about yours? Thank you.
Did you like the way I played?
I'm not a music critic.
He said he's not a music critic.